Yeah, they suck. Sometimes a loss just, you don't have words to talk about it. Sometimes a loss just simply speaks for itself. This loss speaks for itself. Let's compare. The Rams, do they have an elite defense? No. Do they have an elite offense? It can be elite when it works perfectly. I would call it a good offense. Now let's take a look at Philadelphia. Do they have an elite defense? No. Do they have an elite offense? When it's going the way it's supposed to go, it can be a good offense. Today you saw what happens when you put a good team, a team that is definitely rebounding from a rough season they had last year. You're taking a good team that has defensive structure, that has real players, and then you're looking at the other side, and you're looking at Philadelphia, who had an average season, kind of like the Rams did. They did not make the appropriate changes to their roster, defensively or offensively, and you're seeing the results. Players aside, Brandon Brooks tore his Achilles. Can't do anything about that. Andre Dillard, he tore his ACL. He sucked before that. There was no chance that he was going to be a viable option at left tackle as the offseason went on. You look at the quarterbacks, and how would I describe Wentz's play? What was better from last week to this week? Nothing. Was he abysmal? No. He was not abysmal. Was he bad? Wasn't good enough. There's no other way to put that. Jared Goff did what he needed to do. Was Jared Goff elite? Was he Tom Brady? Was he Peyton Manning? No. He made the passes that he needed to make. And the Rams defense made the stops that they need to make. Game starts out, Miles Sanders fumble. If that doesn't tell you how a game's going to go, I don't know what will. They get a touchdown. The Eagles respond with a field goal. Okay, it's 7-3. Maybe then, they're going to go right back down the field, score a touchdown. It's 14-3. And at this point, you're thinking, if this is how the game is going to go, you already know the game is lost because the Eagles' offense, for whatever reason, is a wet, leaking farce at this point, and they can't keep up with a high-octane offense. So what happens? The Eagles go, I don't remember if they went 3 and out, but they had to punt. Rams get the ball back, and hell, what do you know? It's 21-3. And we're only halfway through the second quarter. Eagles offense starts to put things together. They get a good drive. They cap it off with a touchdown, 1-yard run by Wentz. 21-9, missed 2-point conversion. I don't really care about the 2-point conversion. It really didn't bother me. Then they get a 2-minute drill at the end of the half. Now here's a great example of how sometimes a team gets bailed out. The Eagles do nothing with their 2-minute drill. They do nothing with it. Wentz has a bad throw to end the drive. You're thinking, oh God, now the Rams can maybe get a field goal and it could be 24-9 going into the half. But no, Cooper Kupp fumbles the punt. The Eagles get the ball back, and then 3 plays later, boom, in the end zone, Miles Sanders. That is what I'm talking about. Let's go! Miles Sanders, welcome back. Third quarter starts out perfectly. You couldn't have asked for a better start. The Eagles get the 3 and out that they're asking for. They get the ball back to the offense. Boom, play to Deshaun Jackson. Boom, play to Deshaun Jackson. Ertz to the outside. They are moving the ball. They're moving the ball. And then, God! Ah! Where was that pass? There's 2 ways of looking at this pass. Firstly, why was Wentz forcing the ball to J.J. Arcega-Whiteside? We'll get to the Arcega-Whiteside more in a second. Let's focus solely on Carson Wentz. It's 1st and 10. I think they were just outside the red zone. Were they in the red zone? Someone correct me if they were in the red zone or not. And what happens here is Carson Wentz decides that he wants the 6 now. It's 1st and 10, but he needs that touchdown right now. Forces the ball into a window in which you already have a safety on high coverage, and then a cornerback. It's not like the cornerback's beat. It's not like the cornerback is so far off the play. The cornerback makes a really good play. He dives for the interception. It's not a good decision by Wentz. This is why we always talk about, with Wentz, when it comes to holding on to the ball too much, we talk about, no, just throw it away. Live to see another play. This is an example of, this is just a poor decision. You've got all the momentum in the world. It's the third quarter. You have a chance to take the lead. You're only down by 5. Heck, even if you do not score a touchdown, a field goal will cut it to 2 points. So there's no need to force that ball there. Now let's talk about personnel decision. I understand you're going to use J.J. Arcega-Whiteside because you have to, because you need to prove to yourself that he's somehow not the worst wide receiver, at least in the NFC. Why was that his route? Why are we giving J.J. Arcega-Whiteside a post route? What has he done in his NFL career to deserve a post route in the middle of a third quarter of a game you need to win when you're down by 5? What does Doug Peterson see in J.J. Arcega-Whiteside that says, crucial moment, let's give him a post route? Wentz is only choosing to throw to the receiver that he thinks he can get the ball to. Look at the play. I looked at it briefly. It doesn't look like there are too many other open players. The right decision is to throw it away. We've established that. Wentz, bad decision. Why does J.J. Arcega-Whiteside have that route? Doesn't make sense to me. Defensively, anytime the Eagles needed a stop in the second half, they didn't get one. Oh, but they forced him on 4th and 1 and they just went for it. Go screw with that logic. And, speaking of defensive players, Is there a player that gets more love that is so undeserving of his love than Nathan Gary? He had 3 abysmal plays in this game. He is such a bad player and such a liability, and it brings back to this common discussion that we have about this Philadelphia Eagles team. They don't care about linebackers. And guess what? It's a mistake. Anyone at this point that still agrees linebackers are not that important to a franchise, go and lick your Howie Roseman lollipop. Oh my God. Tyler Higbee gets 3 touchdowns against the Eagles defense. Tyler Higbee's not a bad player. He's a fine tight end. You know, he's good to have. When you have guys like Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods, you don't necessarily need to worry about your tight end being the focal point of an offense. If only the Eagles knew something about that. Zach Ertz, once again, nowhere really to be found. Dallas Goedert went quiet. Sean Jackson showed up. That was nice. Jalen Reagor had a couple nice plays. Miles Sanders had 20 carries, 95 yards, and he caught a couple plays. Miles Sanders had a good day. Eagles' offensive line actually had a pretty good day. That was one improvement from last week. So 0-2 for the first time since 2015. We know how that season went. Or at least going back before 2015, you'd have to go back to 2007 when they were last 0-2. Lost the first game of the season to Green Bay. Lost the second game of the season to Washington before getting a Week 3 win against Detroit. That's the famous "why are they wearing those uniforms" game. They got Cincinnati with that rookie quarterback, Joe Burrow. Anyone that saw Joe Burrow play knows that he's got something to his game. And they've got some players on Cincinnati. They've got Travis Boyd. I don't know why I said Travis Boyd. That is not his name. But they've got Boyd. They've got, obviously, A.J. Green. They've got Joe Mixon. They've got playmakers. Will the Eagles win the game? No clue. I don't know how anyone can feel good right now about this team. They stink. They're a bad football team. They're a poorly constructed team. We get Javon Hargrave back. So you've got you had, with the exception of Vinny Curry, you had a completely healthy defensive line, and they did nothing. I'm going to do something a little different right here. I'm going to just mention, could the situation be worse? Yeah, I think it could. The San Francisco 49ers just lost Jimmy Garoppolo for 4 to 6 weeks. They've lost Nick Bosa for probably the season, and Solomon Thomas probably the same. No word yet on Raheem Mostert. So all of a sudden, that game up in San Francisco isn't looking as scary as it once was, but why would I feel good about a game like that when we haven't won a game yet? This is one of those weird years, I think. And for NFC East fans, if you're a Cowboys fan, if you're a Giants fan, if you're an Eagles fan, you know what I'm about to say. It's one of those years, you know, when the 3 other teams that are actually worth a damn stink, and then the one team that hasn't been worth a damn in 30 years is going to be kind of good enough to win the East. Fly, Eagles, fly, obviously. I love this team. I love the quarterback. I love the running back. I love these playmakers. I love the defensive players, but we have to face an uncomfortable truth. This team stinks, and it's not just going to turn around anytime soon. For Bleeding Green Nation, this is Justin Goodhart. Be sure to check out the Kist and Solak show. I'm sure they're going to have plenty to say about this loss. Brandon Lee Gouton, be sure to check out his articles and what he has to say. I'm sure that he's as happy as I am. Seamus Clancy, Alexis Chasen, and many more. Hopefully they win. Hopefully they win next Sunday, and we're 1-2, and we're right back in it, because for some reason we could still theoretically be in it if they win the game, but who knows. Goodbye.